Morning everyone, welcome to the garden. So this video is about the various Brassaiopsis we've got growing in the garden. So all but one of them are in pots. Now we have a few plants in pots, but we're not big fans of kind of growing that many plants in pots because of all the sort of messing about with overwintering them and stuff. And I think what we've got is a nice number at the moment because we've got a sheltered area of the garden where they can stay over the winter months. And if it's going to freeze, we can drag them into the house quite quickly or into the conservatory. So I'll go through that as we go through the video, because the little procedure I have, should it get really Baltic, applies to the Brassaiopsis. So there's about half a dozen schlepharas, including Schwelliensis. And a Schwelliensis, I can see the top of it from here. It's about 9 foot tall now. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Maybe I have to do a separate video on that one actually, and throw it open to people for a few ideas of what I should do. Yeah, that's for another time though. Yeah, there's a Nova over there, and there's Fengii, Bodenarii, and we just keep them in the sheltered area as it gets colder. But the Brassaiopsis, like I say, all of them in pots, and one of them's in the ground. And I'm going to start with the least hardy of the Brassaiopsis, and up to the hardiest, which is actually planted in the ground and is going to stay outside as well. So let's take a look. So I'm going to start with Brassaiopsis Bodenarii. Now this one is, I mean, it's not hardy for us, but it's between this and Hispida. I guess Hispidas might be less hardy, but we'll start with them two anyway. But this is Bodenarii. Now when we built this octagon gazebo, coffee time, a while back, I always knew, because of the shape of it, there'd be like a triangle left with the adjacent beds. I have got to put some gravel on the membrane there to cover it up, but yeah, and I thought it'd be a great place to put this plant. Yeah, I got this one, I think, from Tregrian Rare Plant Fair last year. It's a really nice plant. If you look at the stem on it, it's quite spiky, as is the case with most Brassaiopsis. And this one is also currently flowering, so let's see if we can get an in focus image of the flowers. So shortly this one will move to an area at the back of the house where it's more sheltered, and then we'll drag it inside if it gets really cold. Stunning plant. So you can probably hear we've got a bit of a Sunday afternoon reggae vibe going on with the police sirens. Right, Brassaiopsis Hispida. So take a look at the stem on it. Again, characteristic spikiness of the Brassaiopsis plants. I really like this one. I bought this as a small plant last year from Robert, Desert to Jungle, and it's grown on really well. And the pot it's in is I think it's recycled from old tyres. Now it did have one of them fancy drainage things in it, you know, where you've got like a tray, and when it overflows it kind of drains out, but I got rid of all that rubbish, so gone back to just, I put additional drainage holes in it, and there's crocks in the bottom like you would normally do. Not into all that fancy rubbish. Yeah, still got a few leaves coming out, and they're quite the older leaves are actually quite stiff, and there's a little pointy bits all the way down the edges. Really nice plant. We've got two of these, so this is the first one, and now we'll go and take a look at the second one. So this is our other Hispida, and it's got much taller stem on it. So this is at the bottom of the garden at the moment. It's next to that Schlephera Nova. That's one of the Pan Global plants. And I did mention Schwelliensis. So we've got one of them arches here, and it is right up there. So it's possibly about 2.5, maybe getting on close to 3 metres. Right, so back to the Brassaiopsis. I think this one came from the Rare Plant Fair at Tregearn, and it's flowering. I'm going to try and get some good images of this because it is quite stunning with the foliage that's still emerging, and what's going on there just looks absolutely amazing. So yep, same kind of procedure with this one. It'll get moved to the area near the back of the house where I'm heading over in the next section, and will be dragged in should we get a bit of a frost. What's that in there? Get the bits out. So there you go. And a little ladybug has just joined us as well. Great plant, stunning. So this is Brassaiopsis mitis, and I guess this is the plant that kind of started all the big fuss over Brassaiopsis in the UK, because it was probably the first one, along with Dumicola, which was around for a while from Krieg Farm, and then this one became more readily available, albeit quite expensive, and then like Hispida, I guess, followed, and then more recently Brassaiopsis, which is the next bit. But yeah, so yeah, have a look at that stem. The spikiness increases. Yeah, the odd little leaves coming out, but that's living in that pot there, which does need weeding. That's Fengii, by the way, what's growing through it. Lovely little plant. But yeah, that's Brassaiopsis mitis. Still ridiculously expensive, still difficult to find. I have tried one in the ground, but unfortunately it was in 2022 when I planted it, and we all know what happened the following winter, so it didn't have a chance. I have also tried Dumicola in the ground as well, and that got hammered in that winter. And I don't have Dumicola, and it is one plant I'd love to get hold of again. So the last plant we're looking at is Brassaiopsis fatsioides. So when I planted this, I put it on the corner of this bed because where we are now is quite close, as you can see, to the house. So I figured it'd be a bit more of a sheltered spot. And if I look that way, that could be kind of subject to a northwest wind, but it is quite sheltered with all the bamboos and whatever. And then I planted next to it, for the same reason as this is here, I put this echium in. Now it has grown, I've got it propped up at the moment, because with the bamboos, which have been tied up to get out the way of the echium, which has been propped up to get out the way of the Brassaiopsis, you can see the way the stem, well, you probably can't make it out, but yeah, it's probably moved over about a foot, and it's invaded the space of this plant, so I have got it propped up at the moment. Again, typical spiky stem, and it's still pushing out foliage. So yeah, it's an expensive gamble, but its hardiness is, I guess it's still relatively unknown, but known to be hardier than all the others. So yeah, that's our Brassaiopsis. Come back and have a look, see how they get on over the winter.